What do you guys think about sight reading the standard staff? For me, I really didn't like music class at school. Mainly it was the teachers, the way I didn't really approve of their program. I didn't like the songs, and they were kind of a little overly strict, I guess. I wanted things to be fun, and it just turned me off to sight reading. When I finally actually got into music when I was 14, I did learn to sight read a little bit of the standard staff at my guitar lesson, but I was a little slow. I think the first song I learned that I liked was Yellow Submarine by the Beatles. I played that a lot. I memorized it basically. I had my own book and I could pick out the melody. But as far as sharps and flats, I wasn't that interested in it. And I eventually, my ear was quicker than my sight reading, so I could basically match pitch fairly well and pick songs off records or the radio or 8-track tapes. And that, to me, sight reading was uh, not anything I did anymore. I just let it go for a long time until I I went out and played in full-time traveling bands and played all over the United States, traveling, playing music professionally. So, but I was embarrassed when people would say, "Come in on the and of 4." I was like, "Wow, I have no idea what you're talking about." I felt really out of place. You know, they're like, I go, "Can you help me out? Can you kind of show me what that sounds like?" And then I could kind of cobble my way through it. But that's pretty embarrassing if you can't count and try to be a musician. Well, funny. I was doing fine, but eventually I landed in Cedar Rapids and I started teaching at a store where there was a lot of other guitar teachers. And I basically built up a large roster of students. I remember one time a student came. I think a student came in. His teacher had left, so I was his new instructor, and I'm like, well, what are you working on? And he goes, well, we left off on page something up here, and I don't know. Let's see, maybe like minuet or something. And I'm just like, oh. I don't know how I taught. I think I just wrote out tablature or drew out chords or made charts or something. I drew pictures or gave handouts. So I'm like, what's that note? And he's like, that's a G. I'm like, right. Well, let's just hear you play it. And oh my gosh, that was embarrassing. I really couldn't read. So luckily, the store carried this book, Progressive Series, and the store wanted me to have students go through this book. And so I'm like, all right. And so here we are on the first page. Remember those E, F, G? So now it's been about 35 years since then. And I'm still using that book. I actually really like the book. Through teaching, I learned to sight read reasonably well. I'm not like superstar status, but I can read music, and it's kind of embarrassing. But my students, I actually can. I think this company's out of business, and I can find these online for maybe $5 to $10. And when I do, I buy as many as I can, and then I give them to my students. Free book. So the way I structure my lesson is we come in and start with my chord book that I created. Do I have one here? Yes. One copy left of my chord book. We start with that, do a few chords, kind of get them in the zone of hearing the auditory zone where we're just listening and making sure that sound is perfect. Make sure that the chord, every string rings out. We kind of get relaxed, then we do a little bit of this, then we move over to other topics like tablature or songs, chord charts, strumming, rhythms, whatever we need to do. But for some reason, a lot of people fade out. I try to be really low key and not push it super hard. I say, let's just do one little example, just real slow, and people kind of get nervous and I don't know. They kind of resist. Imagine that. Just like I did. They fought the teacher, which is hilarious. Well, yesterday I had a student trying to figure out silver bells. He wanted to play like an open slide version of silver bells in a open E or something. And he was transcribing it himself using Guitar Pro, and he actually did pretty good. He got a pretty good sound. I was very impressed. And but he was kind of missing these eighth notes, like da da dun 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 dun. He didn't quite have that timing right, and that was kind of I was trying to help him out. So knowing a little bit of eighth notes and quarter notes, the difference is pretty important. Otherwise, if you don't do the timing, it sounds, let's see, if you just played it, everything is a quarter note. Let's see if I can do that. Oops. Yeah, it's got to have that da da dun 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 for it to make sense. If you don't have the timing right, it's not good. So I think it's important that we at least, you don't have to be the best, but if you do a little bit of sight reading every day, it will pay off. So I was able to help my student. I could get through the song, believe it or not. And now, which brings us to today. My teacher, Serge, he gave me an assignment, which I could send to you if you want to see it. There's the title cover, the title of the assignment, which is in German. I'm like, you know you're in trouble when your homework is in another language. Well, here's what I gotta play. It's Bach Cello Suite. And this is stressing me out. This is a lot of 16th notes. And the fingering's hard. There's sharps and flats, and it changes keys a lot. I'll play a little bit. It's pretty slow going. That's 2 lines. That's pretty embarrassing that it's that hard for me, but the fingering is bizarre. And I've made it through the first page, a little bit of the second page, maybe like 5 times. So this is a long-term progress. Teacher says, first thing is identify the notes, note reading. Can you read them? That's step 1. Step 2, recognize the chord that each little phrase represents a chord. So he said the second step is recognize the chord. Third step is play it all in one take perfectly. Here's page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6. I'll probably be 95 when I get through this, but So I accept the challenge, but it is difficult. It's a little frustrating, but I kind of enjoy the challenge. So I'm not going to kill myself on it. I'm going to play through the first page maybe 5 times a week, something like that. But so, what do you think about sight reading? Is it important to you, or do you play by ear and by feel, or memorization, or tablature? It's all legitimate stuff. But to be a well-rounded musician, I find that if I can play the drums, do some singing, play some bass, try some mandolin, a little tiny bit of keyboards, and some sight reading, different styles, maybe some classical guitar. I really like to mix it up a little bit. So I think sight reading would be worth sticking with over time, and you'll be surprised at how well you can actually recognize the notes with consistent practice. So keep it in. Let me just recommend keeping up with some sight reading. Just get a beginning guitar book and work through it. Even if you don't like the songs, just play them anyway. It might be, the Blue Tail Fly, or Hush Little Baby, or Frere Jacques, or whatever. Song of Joy, Love Me Tender, any of those little Arlie, Asturias, any of those little folk songs or classical songs. Just have fun with it. And to memorize, to say, well, I'm just going to memorize everything. I mean, are you going to memorize all of Beethoven and Bach's work? I think it's better to be able to sight read. So I'm just going to recommend, give it a try, and just do a little bit every day and see what happens. I do. I'm not the fastest or the best, but I can decode a piece of music and play it. So I think that's I'm reasonably satisfied with that, but I'm going to try to keep improving. Even though I'm getting older, I'm still hungry to learn new things. So I hope that you give sight reading a little bit of time, and let me know what your take on it is. Do you like to sight read? Can you sight read? Are you against it? Or how do you really feel about it? All right, let me know. Thanks for letting me jabber about sight reading.